I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
You heard it here.
Well, now I have to do it. Oh, damn it.
On this episode, I'm joined by writer of the travel and adventure blog, The Meandering Maritimer, Melissa Smith, and her husband/travel companion, Joel. They're going to talk a bit about some of their adventures, how the blog came to be, and the importance of just getting out there. So sit back, sip your poison, and enjoy the ride. I'm Kalen Capson, and this is the Pagan Place Podcast. Let's start with what your writing entails.
I have two blogs. I had a blog before I started the Meandering Maritimer. It was called Maritime Love, maritimelove.com. And I started that one really because we were trying to save money and we weren't doing a lot of traveling abroad. So I really wanted a place where I can talk about all the great places that we were going to in the Maritimes. So that's where it really started. And then eventually I wanted to branch out from the Maritimes. We wanted to start doing some traveling a little farther out. So I started the Meandering Maritimer. Now we still go on adventures locally all the time. So I will still talk about those on the blog as well. But it was just something that I could sort of expand my horizons a little bit. I felt like I'd kind of seen lots of stuff that was in my backyard. And so I just wanted to start sort of moving a little bit further afield. That was the basis of the Meandering Maritimer. Exploring the Maritimes and beyond is kind of the tagline.
Do you remember what your first publication was?
We've been on many adventures, Joel and I, my husband and I. But the first adventure that we really went on sort of together, that I guess is sort of where this began, is the Miramichi River Run.
Wow, you read my mind.
That was like 1 month in to when we started dating. And he's like, how about we go on this 4-day, 50-kilometer canoe down the Miramichi River and, we'll camp along the way. I had never done anything like this in my life. Growing up, we never even went camping because we didn't have a lot of money. My dad worked away through the week, so the last thing he wanted to do was pack everything up and go camping on the weekend. So I was like, okay, we'll do this. I had no idea what I was getting in for.
It was a bit of, I'll come clean, it was a bit of a test. It was a bit of a test to see what type of woman and what type of person you were. I know you did pass with flying colors.
It was like rapids and what's the big one? Burnt Hill?
Burnt Hill. That's
Burnt Hill.
Got the canoe fetched up on the rock. And you didn't even think. You just lost your paddle in it. You didn't even think. You grabbed the spare paddle, pushed off the rock, went over the rapids, grabbed the other paddle in the water, put it back on the boat, and just kept going. That was pretty awesome.
We did not fall in the water, and that was like my first real canoeing adventure. So the fact that we did not turn the boat over is some sort of a miracle. But I mean, that's really where our adventures together began, and all of my online adventures, we do them together. So it really is sort of, I'm doing the writing, but it's something that we can do together, and we really enjoy doing. So I like to say that I come up with a lot of the crazy ideas, not all of them, but he is the one that keeps us alive during the crazy idea. He's the one that gets us through it. Sometimes I have these ideas and I say, oh, this is a great idea. But once I get into it, I'm like, why? What the hell was I thinking? I can't do this. This is a stupid idea. And he's like, it's going to be fine. We're going to make it. Like, just keep going. Keep moving forward.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So I would definitely say the Miramichi River Run was definitely the first big one.
Do you remember our first date?
Oh, the caving. Yeah. There's the caving adventures that we did. A lot of people don't know that there's caves in Rockwood Park. Some of them are pretty crazy, actually, pretty intense.
Yeah, you said it was like going in a horizontal water slide. Yeah,
crawling through water on your belly. Another one of those, like, it seems like a good idea at the time, and you get in there and you're like, this is really tiny in here. But that's the thing about this stuff that kind of scares you, and part of why I like doing it is that even though when you're in it, you're sometimes tired, cranky, exhausted. You want it to be over. Afterwards, you're always like, oh my God, I did that. I actually did that. You don't even realize what you can do and the things that your body is capable of until you actually try. I really enjoy pushing myself and just to see like you can actually do it if you try.
Keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, there's really no growth without pushing yourself. I mean, the things that are scary are usually the most valuable or the best experiences that you may have. And even just like doing the blog. I mean, I think when I hit publish the first few times, I don't know what I was afraid was going to happen, but I was like terrified. I was like, oh my, people are going to read this. What are they going to think? They're going to make horrible comments on these things.
I used to have that same fear. I still do a little bit though, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Every time. But now it's changed where I usually publish something about other people. I used to be afraid of the listeners and what the person who's on it would think. Mm-hmm. Now I just worry about what the person is on it. I think
you do get over that fear a little bit. It does go away.
Yeah, it subsides.
It subsides after. I did have one blog post on Maritime Love that kind of went viral, and it was about St. John and how people's attitudes needed to change. And I got a few negative comments on that, but it wasn't really directed towards me as the writer. It was more just people didn't agree with my point of view, which is fine. I have no problem with that. Everybody has their own opinions. But that was kind of a crazy experience, because there was like thousands of people looking at that for a few days. And I think they talked about it on the radio and stuff, and it got like retweeted on some radio websites, and it was kind of wild, but that was probably what got me over the hump. I was like, oh, okay, well, if nothing bad happened from this experience, then I can keep writing. It's fine. Even writing stuff like this, it is opening yourself up to ridicule, and it is a hurdle in itself. So I definitely had to push myself past that to get it started.
Do you have sort of a vision of where you anticipate the blog going?
Yeah, I'd like it to kind of, I call it Meandering Maritimer because I'm a Maritimer first and foremost, and I'm a firm believer that the space that you grow up in influences the type of person that you are and the way that you see things in life. So I'm trying to bring those experiences to these places that I visit. So I'm kind of always looking at things through a Maritimer's eye. So I just think it's interesting when you go someplace so totally different than what you're used to, than what the comfort zone for you is, and how do your experiences influence the way that you see people who live in this place, or the experiences that you have when you're there.
What sort of influences do you have? Have they changed at all over time?
And I'm sure it has changed over time.
Travel writers or
Departures.
Departures is a really great show that I would highly recommend people who are interested in adventure and travel adventure to watch. It's basically these two young Canadian guys who decide they're going to take a year and just travel the world, and they go to these amazing places. And I really want to go. I want to go places that are a little bit off the beaten path.
That's exactly what they do. They don't follow a little tourist guide. They usually want to submerge themselves as much as, well, they're still outsiders, but submerge themselves in that culture and try to experience
as much of the culture as they can while they're there. Not against going to all-inclusive resorts and stuff like that. I mean, they definitely have their time and their place. But yeah, we like to go sort of off the beaten path with our Iceland trip that we just got back from, where we went out into the Highlands for 4 days and hiked across the Highlands, just a backpack on our back. So stuff like that. So Departures was definitely one of them, but I even think just like the experiences that I've had in my life growing up in the Maritimes and the values sort of that we have here, and how does that influence the way that you sort of see other places and how you experience them. We're such a rural area, such a rural community. Like, I grew up in a place that you couldn't even call a town because it was smaller than a town. I was the only person in my grade in a 2-room schoolhouse for 3 years. So, I mean, that influences like who you become, right? It influences everything that I sort of do, and I just think that's really interesting, and I want to explore more of that. on the blog too.
Where did you grow up?
A little place called Westchester Station. Shout out to Westchester Station. They're going to love this. About as rural as you can get in the Maritimes, at least.
I gathered that from the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's not too many of those. There's not too many people that can say that they even went to those little schoolhouses, but
not our generation.
There's I mean, none of them around anymore. I don't think so. There was a few of them around for sure.
Yours turned into a community center, right?
Yeah, a lot of them did get turned into community centers. People are always surprised when I say that. Yeah.
I was the one with my eyes on the phone. You were the one on the bus ride home. You take it tonight, but when the morning comes, will you still believe in a reason to run? Ha! Taking the lead, cause you wanted to know if I felt the same and where this could go. But I don't believe in time. I don't believe in time. Why can't you stay? I wanted to know, but you turned away and left out the door. Can I push aside to thinking of you? Maybe in time I'll see your point of view. But I got a plan, just wait on me. But you can't stand the waiting. Just take off your shoes and stay a while. Don't have to run all those miles, no. I don't believe in time. I don't believe in time. Yes, I got a plan, just wait on me. But you can't stand the waiting. Just take off your shoes and stay a while. Don't have to run all those miles and miles. Yes, I got a plan, just wait on me. But you can't stand the waiting. Just take off your shoes and stay a while. Don't have to run all those miles, no. I don't believe in time. 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 Oh, 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 oh,
Is there one particular piece of writing that you're most proud of? Or are all your children beautiful?
Well, a lot of them are just about our adventures, which I love all of our adventures. I was pretty proud of the St. John one. I think it was called Why Your Opinion of St. John Needs Changing. Just because I think that St. John just gets such a bad rap overall. I've heard it called many things by people who don't live in St. John and people who do live in St. John.
Yeah.
I think it gets such a bad rap, and this town is amazing. Like, being a nature lover, you've got 2 really big parks within the city limit you can go to, and you can be right in the city, and yet you feel like you're completely outside of it and that there's nobody around. That is so cool and so special, and I didn't feel like everybody sort of realized that. Sometimes it takes somebody who didn't grow up here to sort of say, you guys have something pretty cool here. So that was a really fun one to do.
You definitely changed my opinion.
Did I?
Yeah, well, I was just kind of complacent about the city. You know, you grow up here, you don't...
So, yeah.
You can't really see it, right? Because I'm seeing it through the eyes of someone who just grew up here.
The stuff has been there all year.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, and then me tagging along with you on things that were always there, and I just thought, well, that's just backdrop, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's always been there. I never really looked at it through your eyes. It definitely helped me to say, wow, okay, where I'm from is actually a neat spot. It's actually got a lot going for it, and I'm proud to say that I'm from here.
Yeah, and you definitely showed me all of those places. All the places that are great here are places that you took me to, or that we, have memories from.
Remember the Tucker Park thing? You had no idea Tucker Park was there?
No, I had no idea Tucker Park was there.
Like, there was a beach that was literally this far away from our house. You never told me?
Lived around the corner for 4 years.
Oh yeah, Tucker Park. It's been there the whole time. I used to go there back in high school. Yeah, it's there. But now I canoe to it all the time, and now I have a different appreciation for it.
The river system in New Brunswick, I mean, is absolutely amazing. Mm. It's really something very cool. I mean, on any given weekend, we can go canoeing on the river. We can go out into the woods, into the wilderness, literally anywhere. I mean, it's free reign. Basically, there's so many places that you can go and just be away from it all. But then at the same time, you're in St. John, you're in the city, and you've got music festivals, great shopping, and just amazing restaurants here. So it's really diverse, the kinds of experiences that you can have here. And in New Brunswick especially, I find New Brunswick also gets a bad rap, but I've really fallen in love with the province. That was one of the main reasons that I started blogging too, was I wanted people to know about New Brunswick as well, and to appreciate it more. And I will tell you, one of the other blog posts that I have that's been the most successful, and it really surprised me, I did this little series, Surprising Finds in the Maritimes, because we went to Black Beach, just out in Musquash, and I had no idea that there was a Black Beach in New Brunswick.
I just found out too, like 2 months ago maybe.
And I get so many hits on that. People Google that all the time, and it's like daily. People still go to that article, and they want to know like where it is and how they can get there. And
we also discovered a beautiful trail there too.
Well, there's two really great
we did
hiking
the first
trails.
One. We knew about that one, but I like the other one better. Split Rock.
The Split Rock Trail is a beautiful
You're literally
trail
along the coast, right along the Bay of Fundy. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That blog post is still going strong. Like people really like to discover something new that they didn't know was there. And I think that's why it's been so popular. And I wish I could find more things that people don't know about. There's always sort of a thing like, should you open this up to everybody, or do you want to keep it a secret? But I think that, it's always good when more people have the opportunity to connect with the places that they live and experience something new that they didn't know was there.
So what is your take on letting people know where these locations are? I'm just curious because, there's always the chance that the heavier foot traffic is going to damage the place, or people might not take care of it properly. But also on the flip side of that, also people should really be able to see what is in their own backyard, or what nature has to offer, to educate them.
Well, it's
a hard thing because I've seen it through the Midland ice caves, or the Belle Isle ice caves. When I first went to it, I got lost trying to find it. There was hardly any way to find it. It was off a snowmobile trail. Me and my friend Lacey went, and we had a hard time finding it. And it was like you're in Narnia. Like you literally just almost fell into it. It was all covered in thick evergreens. It was very nice. Sure, there was a rope to go down to it, and someone axed open the doorway to it, but we were the only people in there. And now you go, and all the trees have been cleared. There's signage for it. There's constant foot traffic, and it's actually affected the snowmobile. Garbage, there's people setting up picnics, starting fires for campsites and stuff. So you want them to see it, but it's like, wow, man can really, I don't know how, it's hard.
Well, there's always people that will take advantage. I just wish that people would have more respect for outdoor spaces.
Yeah. And,
live by the idea that you leave only footprints, you take everything with you. And I mean, I think the Fundy footpath is the big one that people are worried about, right now with that, because the road is accessing areas that were at one time not accessible only by foot.
That's true.
It goes all the way to Walton Glen Gorge, which is amazing. I really want people to see these things. I want them to be accessible. I just want people to respect them as well. That was one thing that I was really impressed with in Iceland, is that everybody that was on that trail had such respect. They were so careful to not leave anything behind. It was so clean. I think the wind was so strong, and we stopped and had like a protein bar, and I think my wrapper like started blowing away, and I screamed, and Joel ran after it into the moss, and I was like, no, like I can't leave that garbage here. It would just be such a stain on the landscape, such a perfect, pristine landscape, and I just wish people would do that here. But the more you open it up to, I mean, you're always going to have some of that, but I think it is a good thing that more people can see these amazing places, because not everybody is mobile enough to hike the 20-foot path. It's pretty intense. I've still not done the whole thing myself. Joel has done it.
You're gonna do it.
I'm gonna do it.
You heard it here.
Now I have to do it. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah,
so I'm of the opinion that it's a good thing. I just want people to respect the space and keep it clean. Yeah, it is a hard call.
Another cloud, bitter thread, holding me back any way they can. Now I see it's going around again.
Welcome back to the Pagan place. Here, let me chop up that poison for you. No, you keep the tip. All we need is a little like and share. That'll do just fine. There you go. Have a good day.
Has there been one trip that's been just like, oh shit, this is what everything's been leading up to so far?
Well, we haven't done a whole lot of adventures outside of the country yet. That last trip in Iceland was pretty amazing, even though there were times when you're in it that you're just like, I'm not having fun right now. But looking back on it, we'll be like, that was amazing. We were standing in these landscapes that you just they don't even seem real. It's like you're standing in a painting, just these colorful rhyolite mountains or black sand and green moss as far as you can see. We definitely have ideas of things that we want to do, for sure. I don't think any trip is really perfect. There's always something that happens. It never goes the way that you see it in your head, but it's always worth it, I think. I mean, you have to get over these little hurdles. They're part of the journey. They're part of the adventure. One place that really did blow me away is the Magdalene Islands.
I was about to say
That's not too far off the coast.
I didn't even know much about it till you mentioned it.
Off of PEI. It was amazing. I was like, I'm like not that far from PEI, but this feels like an entirely different place.
The white sands, yes, it was cool.
It's really cool when you go somewhere and it just surprises you like that. I didn't really know what to expect. You can drive from one side of the archipelago to the other in like an hour and a half, I think. Yeah. It's just amazing because you're driving on sand dunes.
Yes, these islands are connected by like very long sand dunes.
Yeah, just sand dunes, and all that's on the sand dune is a road. And then all of a sudden, you see the next island just starts to reveal itself, and it's green rolling hills, tiny, colorful houses dotted all along the coastline.
Yeah, kind of like a Newfoundland with the very bright colored painted houses.
And then you drive a little way further.
Very French.
And then... And then you're on the sand dunes again.
Yeah.
That place was really cool. We did an amazing hike there. There was no one else around. We were the only ones there. And the hike comes to a point where there's just like red cliff on one side, 100 feet drop to the ocean, 100 feet drop of red sand cliff on the other side. And it just comes to a point, and you can basically hike right to the point. And it's a meadow at the end.
Yes, the meadow looks peaceful and calm and beautiful. And
like
then,
wildflowers.
And then on the other side, there's this cliffs and ocean and like chaos. You know what I mean? It's these two blends. And we were lucky when we went, it was a little off season and there was no one around. So we just had this...
Oh yeah, I could have like, I was like, I could just stay here forever. This is amazing.
Yeah. 3 colors, green,
yeah,
red, and blue.
A lot like PEI in that way, but different because all the little islands were connected by sand, basically. So that one was really cool, and I wish more Maritimers would go there because it's really not that difficult to get to. It's a 5-hour ferry ride. I mean, it's a long ferry ride, but it's not as long as getting to Newfoundland. It's well worth the trip.
They got a microbrew there. It's really good for cyclists too. We saw a lot of cyclists on it.
Yes, that's true.
I suppose it would be terribly big, so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could definitely do it easily. Yeah. Well, they would go and do PEI, and then I think they just catch the ferry and they decide to
just
to carry on.
Camp. Oh, and then there was the beach walk that felt like we were in a desert. Remember that one?
Yeah, the beaches go on for days. Like, it's just so much beach.
Yeah.
You could walk for hours and still. We were trying to get to this point where the archipelago, like the end of the archipelago, basically. And it comes to a point in a beach, just like a sandy point.
A big, huge arc kind of thing.
And so we said, okay, well, we'll hike down to the very point and we'll take our picture there at the point. And we said, we've been to, one tip to the other. And we just walked for hours, and it just was never getting closer.
Everything looked the same.
It was like we're not gonna make it, and my feet were like hurting.
We didn't bring proper footwear. We were just...
I was in my bare feet.
Yeah.
Just walking in the sand.
Yeah.
Yeah. We made it almost to the end. We didn't quite make it to the very tip. We had to compromise. Yeah.
We were running out of food and water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to turn around. It was getting dark.
And it was getting dark.
But we have a couple of ideas of things that we definitely want to do. We want to see more of our own country, for sure. I think it's really important to see the beauty in your own backyard before you travel further abroad. I've seen a lot of the Maritimes, but I have not seen a lot of the western part of the country. So we would really love to do a train tour of the Rockies. We want to take the Rocky Mountaineer and then go to Jasper and Banff National Park for sure.
Yeah.
You can sort of do like a sort of a circle tour. And I've recently kind of got obsessed with this other one in Arizona, the Grand Canyon rim to rim hike.
Oh, yeah?
So basically you start at one rim, you hike all the way down into the canyon, and then there's actually a place to stay in the bottom of the canyon. It's called Phantom Ranch. It's really difficult to get in there. You have to basically enter a lottery, and if you win, you'll get to stay there in 14 months. And then you would hike out the other side. It looks amazing.
Putting in for this lottery like every year?
I'm thinking about starting in maybe January to enter it. Just to see if we can even get a spot, like how difficult, like I don't know how long people wait before they actually keep entering until they actually get something. I don't know if I'm interested in doing it in the middle of the summer. I think we're talking like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So definitely like off season is the way to go. October and November, March and April, I think is the best time. But right now, these are the two main ones that we have that we're thinking about.
Yeah.
And of course, there's lots of places in the Maritimes too that we still want to explore.
How can people find you?
Well, I have a Facebook group for the Meandering Maritimer, so I post all of my blog posts on there. The website is www.themeanderingmaritimer.wordpress.com, and I still have Maritime Love as well, and I have a lot of articles on there, so if people wanted to go and check that out, it's just www.maritimelove.com. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well. I share a lot of photos on Instagram of our adventures. I think that's probably the main place that I share things.
Question about traveling with the camera. Do you actually lug your camera around, or do you try to use your cell phone as much, or
well, that's a good question. Yeah, because it's a bit tricky, because I love my DSLR, but it's kind of bulky for traveling, especially when we're hiking. And I did take it to Iceland. I have a sort of contraption that goes on my backpack. It attaches to one of the straps, so I can actually just secure the camera onto it so I can have easy access. Because the thing about hiking with a big camera like that is they usually have it packed in your backpack, and you don't feel like stopping and taking off your backpack every time you want to take a photo of something. So that just gives me quick access. But when the weather is not great, I obviously have to pack it away and cover it up. And I do find myself using my iPhone a lot for those times. It's just it is really convenient. I mean, the iPhones, especially the newest versions, they take very nice pictures. I especially like the wide angle options. I take a lot of landscape photography, so they're great for that as well. But there's just some things you want your DSLR for. But I don't often carry my tripod and stuff like that. I opt to usually leave those at home, especially for backpacking trips. If I was like car camping, or if it wasn't sacrificing too much weight, I could definitely bring it. And then you can get your really great sunset shots and night shots and stuff like that. Things that you really can't use your phone camera for.
It's a question for each of you. If there's one piece of equipment or your favorite thing that you have to have with you on every trek you go on.
Oh, that's a good question.
What would be one thing that you'd recommend to people?
One would be like merino wool. Merino wool is awesome. It's not as itchy as traditional wool. It wicks like wool. It does not absorb like cotton. And I always thought they were kind of just a fashion statement. Buffs, they're called.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like it's just a tube of this fabric, but you can do so much with it when you're out hiking. Like you can use it almost like a shemagh. Like you can cover yourself up. or you can just use it. It keeps the warmth in your neck. You can use it for all sorts of things. Just keeping the sweat away, like you just turn it into a hat. I was sold on that after the first time I used it on the footpath.
A really warm sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, I'm just like not very good with cold. I'm going to tell this really quick story of being in Fundy National Park in the wintertime. And there's like these cabins. They opened up one winter a couple winters ago that you could go and you can stay in.
Well, they opened the park up. Normally the park's not even open during
Right.
winter.
Okay. Yeah. It was the park was open in the wintertime for one of the first times. So we decided, okay, this is a great opportunity to go to one of these cabins in the winter, and we'll hike out to it. We'll stay overnight. We got there, and there is a little stove. So I figured, I mean, there's a stove. There'll be some heat, but this cabin was not insulated in any way. And there was a snowstorm the night that we came in. We got in before the snowstorm started.
Like a proper blizzard. It wasn't just a storm.
But the snow was literally like coming in through the cracks between the doors, the cracks in the walls. Like there was snow on the floor of the cabin.
It didn't melt.
And it was not melting.
The stove wasn't able to keep up. Yeah.
So I could not sleep all night. I have a really good sleeping bag. It's rated to like minus 30. It was just too cold. It was just too cold. And even my really warm sleeping bag, it just wasn't enough. And the next day we had to hike out of there, and we got no Tentic the next day, which are much warmer. I highly recommend those. Yeah. The cabins are a little chilly, I'll just say that. But a really good sleeping bag, especially if you're going to do anything in the colder winter months, and probably a sleeping bag liner as well, which adds a little bit of extra heat.
And you walked up to front of stage, more Lenny, Bruce, and Bruce Lee. Said, is there a doctor in the house? And my hands are all clammy, spines made of rubber, I'm less lying than mouse. And her makeup was a mess, near tears, pitch perfect. He asked her why, she said, can't you see? It's the way they treat the lions, dressed up courageous at the end of the night. They're back to their cages and I can't stand it. I don't know how to take it. And let's take the long way back home. And let's take the long way back home. And the crowd all applauded, and at this fine spectacle, a talent, wouldn't you agree? And the flavor of the week, the headlines are counted. It's quite the thing to see. And my story was a mess, near tears, pitch perfect. I asked her why, she said, oh please. It's the carnies and townies, all and dressed up courageous at the end of the night. It's back to their cages and I can't stand it. I don't know how you can take it. And let's take the long way back home. Let's take the long way back home. The best nights are those where the chest is broken open heart feels so big it could fit the ocean on before they close up. Before we close up, will you dance with me? And we won't call it dancing, just moving and standing together in one place. And there where the lions all are dressed up courageous at the end of the night, we'll pick our own cages, and I can't tell you how long I've been waiting. Let's take the long, long way back home. And let's take the long, long way back home. Let's take the long, long way back home.
If you could each sum up what it is you love about what you're doing here, what do you love about these adventures?
I don't know if I have the full answer for it. I know it's a reason to do something with Melissa, with my partner, something we can do together. And it's a huge game changer if you get to experience something with somebody else and share that. Another would have to be, for me, there's like a sense of freedom, you know? And a sense of like centering yourself with the world, with your environment. Like you get to see things, like especially if you climb a mountain and you get to see where you started. It's just it's kind of a special thing.
Yeah.
So at the same time, there's that solo aspect to it too, like you're experiencing it within. But I don't know, it's just it's a bunch of things for me that I enjoy about it. I love being off grid. I like being away, being able to be out there and just enjoy what nature has to offer, I guess.
I like a lot of the same things that Joel does about it. Actually, when we were on the hike in Iceland, there was a large group of Australian, and we got to talking one night, and it was our 5-year anniversary. That was kind of the reason that we were there. And so we were chatting with them and having a little glass of whiskey. And he said, you're so lucky to have a partner that you can do these things with, because his wife wasn't interested in doing these kind of adventures, and he just said, I wish I could do these things with her, but I mean, I understand it's not for everyone, and there's even times that it's not for me when I'm out there, but I always feel good about doing it after. I'm always like, wow, I guess I really love the sense of accomplishment that you can actually push yourself outside of your boundaries and experience something new and be like, wow, I actually did that. There's actually not a whole lot that you really can't do once you decide to take the first step.
So I got a question for you, Kaylin. Traditionally, your Pagan place has been more of a place of music. What made you want to do something with more of a travel or blog?
Yeah, initially I am about music. I mean, that's just part of my person, kind of like these adventures are yours. But I'm also very much of the mind that, and this is also the reason why I started with music, of the mind that people, like you said, just need to do something. Just step forward and start small, but do something, you know?
Yeah, just try something new.
So a lot of my podcasts are people who are, I mean, some of them are musicians that are touring and off there doing their thing, but some of them are just, my friend Graham, who's a teacher, but he's just a wonderful musician. He loves it. He plays guitar every day, plays it to his kids. His kids are being introduced into music now. But he doesn't do it professionally. He does it because it's something that he just loves to do. So I think everybody needs to find that thing that they...
That medium.
That passion,
that
brings
connects
something
them.
out of them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whether you're painting, I mean, I've had an artist on, Anthony Bork, and then musicians.
There's parallels in all of it, right?
Yeah.
It's all sort of has a common thread.
Yeah, exactly.
Of what, what people's passions are.
A lot of people sum things up in that, like a lot of the guests I have on, at some point or another, that's what they say. You just gotta step forward and just learn something, or just go and do something, but dedicate yourself to a little piece of something that's beyond yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people don't do that, and I think that it's easy to do, depending on what it is. You know, if you're a musician or want to learn guitar, buy a cheap guitar, start learning some basic chords and let it grow from there.
Right.
Save some money. Buy a new guitar when you get a little bit better. You know, same as a trip. You can take something closer to home. You can go to Rockwood Park.
Right, exactly.
Start
You don't
small.
have to travel half the way across the
Exactly.
world in order to really have an experience like that.
Maybe if you have fun at that Rockwood Park trip, go to Fundy next time.
That's right.
Or, you know, and maybe
Yeah.
save a little bit of money to go a little further away to something bigger next time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's all sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
When I started the podcast, I had a little 4-track recorder,
Mm-hmm.
which is just this little digital machine with 2 microphones built on it, and that's how I recorded everything. Easy access for me, it was cheap, and then eventually
Right.
you're like, okay, well, I invested in a new laptop, so now I can hook that through a laptop and do the recording on the laptop using the shitty microphone.
And it was all the learning process of
Oh,
how
yeah,
figuring
absolutely.
out how to do it better
Yeah,
too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you invest in one microphone, and then you go buy your second microphone, and it just grows from there. And then
Yeah, start small and just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
step by step, and then all of a sudden you're like,
But-
wow, look at how much I've accomplished here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you have to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take that first step into something, which unfortunately I think there's more people don't do it than more people
Yeah.
that do.
Right. They just find a lot of reasons to like not do it. I mean,
Yeah.
for a long time I found a lot of reasons not to start the blog.
Their way to justify taking the easy route.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Or-
definitely not the easy route. It is work no matter what it is. Playing guitar, doing a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
writing down your adventures, going on the adventures to write about.
Yeah,
It's
the
not-
planning and all of the stuff that goes along with
It's
it.
work, but but
Yeah.
if you do it and you like it and you feel good about the end results, then that's a reason to do that work.
Yeah, even if you don't have like hundreds of people even looking at it.
Yeah,
Because I mean, for a
exactly.
lot of times that might not that might be the case, you know what I mean? Like you might have nobody reading these things,
Oh, yeah. But it grows.
but then somebody is gonna click for somebody, and then it's gonna click for a few more people, and then all of a sudden as long as you're coming at it from like a sincere place, an authentic place, I think people respond to stuff. There's this Mark Twain quote that I really love that I think I have posted on my blog somewhere, that travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. And many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. And I just think that the world would be a better place if people traveled more and had more empathy and compassion for other people, because when you travel you see such different things than what you grew up with, and I think it's really important to see how other people live, and I think that fosters compassion and empathy for other people. I just think it's really important to do.
Well, thank you for coming on, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's fun.
It was fun.
Great time.
I can see you struggle with the burden. You try to speak, the words catch in your mouth. I'm not here to judge or preach a sermon. I just want a chance to help you out. Take a breath like you own it. Cast a stone to the sea. Now place your hand in mine, and we'll waste a little time. You got everything you need. You got everything you need. Price is seldom welcome when you're hurt. place your hand in mine, and we'll waste a little time. You've got everything you need. Take a breath like you own it. Cast a stone to the sea. Now place your hand in mine, and we'll waste a little time. You've got everything you need. You've got everything you need. You've got everything you need.
This is Michaela, and I'm with the East, and you're listening to the Pagan Place podcast.